good morning everyone, and welcome back. Cumberland Outdoorsman here with you with yet another one of my 22 series videos. What I've got here in the vise is a pretty nice little pistol. It's a vintage Smith Wesson. This is a model 17-4. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to install this Redfield scope mount. This is also a vintage mount, so that I can make use of a pistol scope on this highly accurate revolver by Smith Wesson. And this gun did not come equipped, drilled and tapped to be able to accept this scope mount here. You can see there are 3 screws there that need to be drilled and tapped for on the gun. And if you've never done this before, then I would probably suggest you take it to a competent gunsmith and someone that knows what they're doing, because you could ruin a really fine gun. But I've already drilled and tapped all 3 holes. I'm just chasing the last hole here. Here, I can show you what I'm doing here. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. This is the last hole here that I'm chasing with a high quality tap that is correct for the thread and pitch of these little tiny screws that fit into the action. What I've done is I've removed the rear sight. And if I want to reinstall the rear sight, there's no problem, because when I drilled these holes, I didn't go all the way through this bridge. I left metal at the bottom so that when I reinstall the rear sight and I want to shoot it with open sights, as you can see, the holes are not visible. Here I've got the gun in a vise padded with leather here, with a piece of leather, so as to protect the beautiful bluing that's on these fine Smith & Wesson revolvers. But as you can see on the bottom there are no holes. So, you know, if I want to put the rear sight back on, I can plug these holes with plug screws, put the rear sight on, and the gun is just as it was when it came from the factory. You won't be able to tell from outward appearance. However, I now have the option of installing a high quality pistol scope to further enhance the accuracy of this gun, and that's what I really want to do, because I really want to use this gun for some small game hunting this fall, particularly squirrels. And I think the gun's accurate enough to be able to warrant putting a scope on here. So anyway, let me go ahead and install the base of the scope mount here. See how well I did here. Make sure all the holes line up first before you tighten anything down. Get them all started. What's good about this Redfield scope mount is that it precisely fits right into the groove of this receiver here. I mean, it's just perfectly made for that. This is for the K-frame Smith & Wesson. Tighten down the center one. I think the newer Smith & Wessons are already drilled and tapped. I'm not real sure. I don't own one, but I think they're drilled and tapped so that you can install a Picatinny rail. This is not a Picatinny. This is just a very slimline, high quality blued steel Redfield scope mount. Let me go ahead and get the scope. Here are the top rings, and I've got the scope here. This is a Redfield 2.5 power pistol scope. Pretty nice scope, actually, folks. And you want to make sure that your bases are perfectly aligned so that when you put the scope in, it doesn't damage the tube when you tighten these down, which I've already done. I've taken care of that before. What's nice about this is, like I mentioned, I always have the option of taking this off and going back to open sights, you know, if I want to do that. Just got to keep up with your sights and screws and everything. There are 2 screws that you got to keep up with here. And that's right there at the bottom. It's sort of a square nut deal that fits into the back of the receiver. And then there's this little tiny screw here that goes into the front. Right in there, folks. So keep up with this stuff, because, you know, it'll come in handy one day when you want to use open sights again. When you install scope rings, don't tighten them all the way down. You know, just snug them a little bit, and then get your crosshairs aligned. Go ahead and take this out of the vise. That's pretty well aligned right there. This isn't really a how-to video, because there's more detail that's involved in doing this than just what I'm showing you here. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this cylinder here. The only reason I'm making this video is to show you that these vintage revolvers like this, and the new ones too, the new Smith Wesson revolvers, are accurate enough to warrant the use of a scope for small game hunting. We're going to take it out here and take a few shots with it and see how well it performs. So stay with me, folks. Well guys, here I am out here at my shooting bench, and I'm going to be shooting this pistol at 25 yards. I think I've got enough of a break in the weather I can do some shooting and put together a little video here for y'all. Here's the gun all put together. That's the scope installed on the Smith Wesson Model 17. By the way, this is a Model 17-4, and it has an 8 3/8 inch barrel. It's ideally suited for small game hunting because the longer barrel will give you a little bit more velocity out of the 22 long rifle cartridge. And also, if you're going to use open sights, it does give you a longer sighting radius. You know, the gun is fairly accurate. I mean, you could probably take squirrels with it with open sights out to 20 yards or so, you know, depending on how good a shot you are, maybe even further. But the reason I wanted to mount this pistol scope on this particular gun is I had the old Redfield scope here sitting around, and I got this vintage mount. I wanted everything to be pretty much vintage so that things would match up well. But anyway, this is a 2.5 power Redfield scope, and the mount that I used is this right here. It's a number 51001-DF, made for K or N frame Smith & Wesson revolvers. This is an old vintage set here. I'm going to say probably 1970s, early 70s or so, early to mid 70s. So it would be period correct for this pistol. Hey, it looks like the sun's coming out a little bit. So anyway, we're going to first of all do some shooting at 25 yards here at these targets, and I want to try some of this standard velocity hollow point. Here it says for small game, okay? And it's rated at 1,050 feet per second, and it's a full 40 grain hollow point bullet. So I'm going to be shooting at 25 yards just to see how accurate the gun can shoot with that ammunition. And then I've got some putty, some just stuff I bought at Walmart. I'm going to be shooting into this, see if we get any expansion out of those rounds. I've also got some CCI high velocity hollow point, the mini mags, and we'll see how well it does in that gun. One thing I can tell you from past experience, and I know I've mentioned this before, is try different brands of ammo, different grain weight bullets, no matter what you're shooting, whether it's center fire, rim fire, or whatever, and find the right one that's the most accurate for your particular need. So with that being said, let me go ahead and set this target up and let's see how well this little pistol can shoot. Okay, I've got 5 loads loaded into the gun already. We'll be doing 5-shot groups. We're going to shoot the top target first. These are the CCI Subsonic 22 long rifle hollow points. And I'll be shooting these single action off this bench rest here. Looks like that one fell to the left a little bit. They're all shooting to the left just a tad. That one looked like it went through the same hole. All right. They're all grouping off to the left just a tad, so let me move my sight. Okay, my middle target fell off, so I had to go down there and stick another one back on there. I guess the wet cardboard kept it from sticking on there good. So anyway, here we go. Another 5-shot group at 25 yards. That's a pretty good group right there. It's about the size of a penny, I think. Okay. Next target down, I'm going to load up 5 of these mini mags. See how well they do. Here we go. Bottom target. As expected, that one's going to hit higher. All right. Next, I'm going to set up this putty here and shoot that hollow point standard velocity or subsonic into this at 25 yards, and we'll see what kind of expansion we'll get and penetration. And then after that, I'll try the CCI mini mag and see if there's any difference in the power. So far, the accuracy is pretty well outstanding with that standard velocity or that subsonic ammunition, and that's most likely what I'll stick with. So let me get this set up and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I had to reset that target, so here we go. 25 yards using the subsonic 22 long rifle hollow point. Looks like a good hit. Just about dead center there. All right, let's go see what we've got here. Okay, I'm going to cut this container open. I've already made a slice in it just to kind of give you a cross section of what this bullet did. There you can see the bullet down in there. See if I can get this split all the way down here. Okay. There's the bullet right there. Looks like it mushroomed perfectly. And there it is, folks. Perfect mushroom. Get some of this putty off of this bullet here. Pretty nice. Good accuracy. Good expansion at 25 yards with that standard velocity or subsonic 22 long rifle hollow point by CCI. The reason I always say standard velocity is because it's pretty close to the same as the regular standard velocity loading. Here it shows 1,070 feet per second, and here 1,050. That's 20 feet per second less, which doesn't really amount to a hill of beans, to be honest with you. Anyway, we're going to try this with the Mini Mag next. Mini Mag hollow point. See what kind of performance we get there. Okay, here we go with the Mini Mag hollow point. And judging by the impact from the target above it, I'm going to hold a little bit low and to the left. See where this round goes, if it's consistent. Okay, we'll try that again. I did not recover that round. Let's try that one more time here. The impact is quite a bit heavier with those mini mags. I really would like to recover one of the rounds here. There, it busted it completely open here. Oh, here we go. There's the bullet. Wow, that really mushroomed. Pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to stretch it out to twice the distance, that is 50 yards, and I've got some steel targets, the same steel targets that I've been using in all my 22 videos, and I'm going to see if that Smith Wesson can connect with these targets at 50 yards using standard velocity CCI. So here we go. Okay, here at 50 yards I've got my steel targets that I always shoot at, that you've seen in previous videos. From left to right I've got a grizzly bear, then I've got a squirrel, and then another squirrel right next to it, and then below those two squirrels there's two swinging round 3-inch targets. Then we have a wild boar, and on the far right there's a Sasquatch. And then all the way down there at 100 yards is a buffalo. So we'll see if we can connect with that buffalo at 100 yards using that pistol. But first I'm going to shoot these targets. Okay, now we're moving to the 100-yard mark, and there's the buffalo. So let's see how well this Smith & Wesson connect with this distant target. Okay folks, I was holding my crosshairs right about here because I knew these bullets would drop, and I think, I'm not real sure, I couldn't tell from that distance, but most of them fell right in here. You know, that's not too bad for a pistol at 100 yards. I mean, I know this is a pretty good sized target, but still, I mean, you can group them all like that at 100. You could hit a groundhog just about every time at that distance. I'm pretty impressed with that little pistol there. So with accuracy like that, I think I can take this gun hunting. So let me finish out this video and give you some closing thoughts. Well folks, if you stuck with me this long, I really appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it so far. These old Smith & Wessons are quite popular. You know, they've been featured in movies and newspaper articles and magazine articles and everything else, and in books. So, you know, the legendary reputation that Smith & Wesson has gained through the years is well deserved. This is a K-frame, like I said earlier, and the K-frame is probably the most popular. I've got a 38 caliber with a 6-inch barrel that's also a very well made gun, and they actually call it a masterpiece, just like they do this Model 17. This one has a pin barrel, and it has a wide hammer spur, as you can see here, and the wide target trigger. So this is a very well made gun, and as you can see from the accuracy of the gun that I shot at 25 yards, they lock up pretty solidly, you know, and they deliver some good groups. Here I've got these two targets I'm going to share with you. In the first group here, they're a little bit more spread apart than I like. That's using CCI's standard velocity target bullet. But then when I switched over to the hollow points, I got a group like that. And that's what I intend on using for small game hunting, because after all, that's the reason I bought the gun. You know, I like to go hunting, and that's what this channel is all about, is the outdoor activities that I share with you. So anyway, that group right there can be easily covered with a nickel. As you can see, all 5 shots covered with a nickel. And then the next 5 shots were shot using the CCI Mini Mag. Now that's kind of an unfair comparison because I did not clean the gun after shooting these. What I really should have done was cleaned the gun and then fired a few shots using that particular load and then tested it. But that's a rough estimate. I mean, it's going to shoot a little higher. Different loadings and different varieties of ammunition are going to have different points of impact, as you probably well know. And then this is a group that I shot earlier, where I also used the CCI subsonic hollow point, and it too is just as consistent as the other group that I showed you. It can be covered with a nickel. So nickel size groups at 25 30 yards are a real common thing for that gun, and I haven't had the chance to test other brands of ammunition yet. I've just pretty much shot CCI out of it. You know, it's very possible that there may be something available by SK or RWS or whatever that's you know, shoots even more accurately. But given the performance, the terminal performance on that putty that I shot into, you can see that these bullets mushroom very well, you know. So there's enough impact and velocity to give you good, reliable expansion at hunting ranges. And of course the CCI Mini Mag was even more devastating, I should say, because that bullet there pretty well turned itself completely inside out at 25 yards. And it pretty much destroyed my putty container here. Just blew it apart. I just stuck that on there to try to save parts of it, and you know, that's almost too much destruction really for game the size of squirrels. But if your gun likes that kind of ammunition in terms of accuracy, I would recommend using it, especially out of a pistol. CCI Mini Mags are a little bit overkill. I successfully take squirrels and rabbits and things like that using standard velocity ammo or 22 short hollow point, as you've seen from my previous videos. It's not really necessary. And you know, I see some videos on the internet where people are using 22 magnums. That's just way too much power for a game that size. You know, if you're going to hunt things like groundhogs or woodchucks, raccoons, things of that nature, then a more powerful cartridge may be, you know, may be necessary. Even if you hunt things like bobcat or coyotes, within 100 yards, I'd say the 22 Magnum should do pretty well. I wouldn't use 22 long rifle on critters that size unless they were very close and I could make headshots. But anyway, that being said, I'm gonna try and take this gun out, and hopefully I can take you with me on a successful squirrel hunt. That would be great, to take that pistol out and do some squirrel hunting with it. And like I said, you know, within reasonable hunting ranges, it should be more than capable of taking squirrels. So I'll be using this ammunition just like I tested here in this video. So, you know, the season's going to roll around here before too long. This is the middle of August already, and the Tennessee squirrel season opens, I think, in 2 weeks. So it's getting close, folks. It's still hot, humid, but fall is just around the corner, and the hunting season will start. It'll be here before we know it. So with that being said, let me tell you once again, I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks for coming along. And also remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, camping, shooting, hiking, whatever it may be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And until next time, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and that way you'll know when more videos like this will be coming your way. So y'all take care, my friends. Get out there and enjoy the great outdoors. And if you go shooting, make sure you practice safety. I'll see you next time.